I'll go wherever you say, boss.
I don't really care where we go as long as I can supersize my meal and get a toy.
Okay, guys, well, we'll go grab some lunch. Oh, hi. I'm Rick the Jerk. So this is my friend Other Rick.
Salutations, filthy mortals.
And this is our new friend, well, what are we calling you this week? Fanny? Whatever you say, boss. Sure, whatever works. Fanny this week. And we're at the Cherry Street project. You may have noticed that the house has some new siding on it. But it didn't always look this way. Why, just a couple weeks ago, it was almost bare. And the insurance company threatened to drop the customer if it wasn't fixed promptly.
But boss, didn't you tell them that you hurt your arm and your back real bad?
Well, that's what we told them, Fanny, but they don't care because insurance companies are heartless, soul-sucking monsters. So, we got right to work taking care of their little problem. Watch for the next 15 to 20 minutes while it's mostly time-lapse of us putting stuff on the house. Won't you?
Still baffles me how you of all beings can have an audience.
You can say that again. You may be wondering why, when we're over here to finish putting the siding on, I'm taking off more siding. Well, the thing is, you see, the siding overlaps this side on top of that side. So that means when the original guys installed it, they were working from, in this case, camera right to left. Well, what we were doing was trying to tuck the new pieces in behind the overlap of the existing pieces, and it just wasn't working out. We were having too many issues. The siding wasn't locking like it's supposed to. So I'm just gonna peel it off back to this window here. There's only like 10 more feet to go, but it'd be a real pain to do all of it. So top down to about here. We're gonna try just going to that window, but we may have to go over the top of the window too. I haven't decided yet. I'm hoping though we can make this work and just slide up to the window, and we'll only have to take off these like 10 pieces here. It's only 6 more pieces if we have to go all the way, so not a total tragedy, just a little more time consuming. This reaching's a dangerous game now. So I was afraid of it. I don't think these are long enough. Thanks, Milwaukee 2749-20. Cordless stapler. You're the poop. Red Tools. Mother, yeah. That's right, the Milwaukee Fuel cordless narrow crown stapler. It overpowers trucks in the background. Oh, baby, the power of Milwaukee. So that is not at all their slogan, but I said it anyway. Hi, I am Rick the Jerk, and I invite you, dear viewers, to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this nonsense. Here in this community, we encourage the practice of random acts of kindness, and I do that by fixing up people's homes for free or for dirt cheap sometimes. We call these rack jobs, and that's stuff we do. So, fun surprise if I pepper this in like I think I will. I just got back from Cherry Street, where I'm sure you guys will have seen in prior footage. I made comment that we may not be done because the needle valve may be bad to the water supply that's going to the fridge. Well, I left the Flea House to come back to Cherry, where Muff Daddy from Cincinnati and my beautiful wife AJ and the children are partying up, getting work done. I returned here only to find that I'd received a voice message from Sir Macwell shortly after I left the Flea House, letting me know that the needle valve was in fact bad, and they're draining it into a bucket now because it's leaking constantly, and I need to get back over there like soon. Luckily, I have a fridge supply line on hand, ready to go. So that's good news. But I'm going to take advantage of the uptime. I know I got about 20 more minutes on my feet or knees, whatever, before I need to sit down again. So I'm going to try to get a couple pieces of siding on. And then once I need to sit down, I'm going to do like I did earlier, hop in the car, drive to the flea house, fix the fridge thing, and then I'll get back in the car and come back in. But that's where we're at right now. Pass me that tape, please, mon frere. Hiya! You can always count on old Muff Dog to spice things up. He really is a true, honest-to-goodness, great friend in every possible way, and I am so very grateful that he's in my corner and I can always call on him when I need to. If you want to know why I'm saying all the fancy swear words now, we just discovered what I think I already knew and just forgot. I feel like I talked about this with Zeke now, the day that we were doing the side, taking it off. And I think it's why we stopped, because I got frustrated that the old siding goes slightly uphill that way. So the choice is either match it and install our siding wrong so the house kind of looks right, even though all the siding goes this way, or we try to force it straight, but with that, we're going to have potentially loose pieces. So I got to weigh the... Stay tuned. Back to flea house. Babe, I've got to cut this siding with this Milwaukee 2880-20 angle grinder from the Milwaukee fuel line, but how am I going to protect my eyes? I know. Bling. With my shop shades from John Malecki. Let's go. Thanks, Malex. I love my shop shades. Good job, Milwaukee. You should sponsor me. Yeah, it's probably never going to happen. But to my knowledge, I don't think anyone has ever referred to John Malecki as Malex, so coined it? I don't know. I do really like his shop shades, though, so I got no qualms or quarrels with promoting them here and there. So, yo, Malecki, why don't you send me some free crap? So, I mean, like, if they wanted to send me some free stuff, I definitely wouldn't say no. Hint, hint. Milwaukee 2749-20 M18 fuel stapler, brushes, sexy, sleek, powerful. You gotta make the sound so you know if it works. Nobody dull my sparkle. I am allowed to have my moments. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to at least wish a very belated, to all the mamas out there in the Jerk Squad, a belated Happy Mother's Day. I also want to thank everyone who's contributed or shared the medical GoFundMe that we have, especially those of you that showed up and bailed us out last week. You guys are amazing. I was really kind of freaking out there. Sorry about that. But I also appreciate everyone checking on my wife, AJ. She's been home from surgery for a couple days now and is doing incredible already. She's walking on her own and certainly doing things better than I would be in her situation. The woman never stops blowing me away with how strong she is. My surgeries for my elbows and wrists are still penciled for next month, but if I can't find a way to generate some more income, I don't know how we're going to get through it. I even broke down and applied for a couple work-from-home jobs. AJ got one doing this AI thing, and I submitted an application through them, but nobody's contacted me yet for any of the positions that I've gone out for. This poor dingus. If you watch the live stream from this night, you know this moment was hard for me, realizing we would in fact not be able to mix the new siding with the old. So that meant this all had to be torn off again, and the customer would have to buy another box of siding, and this stuff is not cheap. So I kind of pivoted a bunch of times there, but I wanted to get the obligatory why is there a GoFundMe thing out of the way. There's a video explaining everything, but the short version is I'm injured and my wife's laid up, so we suck at bills right now, pretty much. So while I was waiting for the delivery of the stuff that I ordered to arrive, I got a call from our friend Pastor Aaron. He needed some storm doors that I installed for him last year adjusted because they weren't closing right, as they do with the seasons. So I ran to do that. And hey, while I was gone, look what came. The stuff we needed. Yay. So now we're going to do things after I do stuff. Because at first there's, well, see, let me explain. I know, here he goes again. See that top piece up there? Now normally, these are scored with a series of tabs using a special tool that lock into a utility strip or termination strip or whatever else you call it up there. And you see the problem is, I think because this is added on, I'm pretty sure, this carport, I think what they did was they put that trim and that pseudo fascia up there over the siding and may have driven screws into the siding because that stuff is not budging. When it's just punched and tabbed in there, normally it comes out just like regular siding comes out, but for some reason this stuff is not moving at all. So I brought my oscillating multi-operational tool and gizmo to help me, you know, the loud thing that we do. As always, today's weapon of choice is the Milwaukee Oscillating Multi-Tool 2836-20. Variable speed. It was actually my first Milwaukee tool. Isn't that fun? As I kind of mentioned but glossed right over earlier, a few days here occurred in tandem with the videos that we did with Mac and Kristen at Midwest Magic Cleaning when we did the flea house. If you haven't seen those yet, make sure to check those out. Poor guy. So here's where I found out the electrical for the light was run under the siding instead of within the wall where it belongs. So I traced it out and cut a kind of like dado channel to tuck it into and then stapled it down. But speaking of my neighbor, Mrs. Savage, and her previously flooded flea house, the thrilling continuation of that saga was supposed to be what was playing this weekend on your video screens. I've been over there all last week renovating her bathroom floor, and I thought I would have it done before AJ had to go in for her surgery, but ended up being off by a couple of days there. So hopefully I was over there working on it today, and we'll be able to get over there tomorrow, and I should have that video ready for you guys by next weekend. So on that note, according to my numbers, a lot of you guys that are watching regularly are not subscribed. And if you've made it this far in the video, please do consider hitting that button. It doesn't cost a thing. All it does is it helps YouTube see that people like what we're doing here, and it helps get my videos in front of more people, and the more people that watch and that we can reach, the sooner we'll be able to start doing this full time and help more people. To kind of put it in perspective right now with the audience that we have, we make like between $200 to $300 a month off of YouTube, and most of that comes from memberships. But if I can maintain momentum, I'm hopeful that in a couple years we'll get there. Still need to manage expectations. We learned that the hard way when Get Roof promised us the moon and then ghosted us a few months ago. I still don't understand what the hell happened there, but everything seemed to be fine, and then just radio silence. Now that I put on my shop shades, my eyes are protected and I have crystal clear vision. I'm sleepy and I'm done. It hurts too much and I'm way too tired and I can't think anymore. Like I don't know what the problem is. I know there is one at the moment, and so I don't know what the solution is either. I think I just have to take all this down to the same level as the rest. So from right about the bottom of the shutters up to the top of the shutters, which means I get the pleasure of doing this wonky cutout around the mailbox thing. So that's gonna be fun. Anyway, see you next time. Toodaloo. I wanted you guys to see what I was doing there. I probably explained it in the voiceover, but I made a key using this piece of siding instead of trying to measure, and ended up getting the wrong number anyway and transferring the wrong number. I made these marks on here. I don't know how well you can see that. That lets me know how high the door frame is that I have to cut around. And these were for me to gauge where the light sits, but I have the measurement to where center is for that, so I'll probably disregard those. This is the main mark I'm looking at here. So I line these up to where the bottoms line up perfectly, make a mark there, line these up to where the bottoms line up perfectly, tops line up perfectly, and make a mark there. I don't know if you can tell, I'd already did it off camera because I forgot that I wasn't recording. Flip her over again. Now that I know the actual distance, I can set my combo square to the same and then use it like a scribe. I've already forgotten how far over I had to go. 42 and a half. All this has to come out. Then I know it is 12 inches to the light. or the center of the light rather. Pretty close. So the goal is going to be to remove about schma and schma. So we will slide over. Are you even looking at me? We're going to cut this out right here to go around the wiring, and we'll cut that to the end. So I'll slide that from this way over the wiring, and then I'll take the next piece and slide it up behind the light, and it should cover it better than the old pieces were, which was just a big gaping hole in it, and the siding cut down to the bottom. Down here is where your waterproofing system is. So you don't want to cut it down here if you can help it. You want to come in from the side if at all possible, or just put a hole straight through it and come through with your wiring that way. Cutting a hole in the bottom here allows water to seep into places it shouldn't go because of the system here. See, it's designed to go down and come up, catch on this, and keep going down. So if you cut that, you're allowing water to get back behind here, and if it gets back behind here, then you might as well not even have siding there. Digga. Now we do stuff. And stuff we sure did. This section was especially tricky between cutting around the door and having to adjust for the motion light, the doorbell earlier, and then eventually the house numbers. You'll see me installing those towards the end. You have to excuse me, I'm mentally fried and running out of things to talk about at this point. Not only I've checked in with you guys for a while to let you know everything that's going on. AJ's inside painting right now with the girls. They're doing their school. I'm trying to get these last few runs up. The lower two, I had about 3 full runs to do. I was really hoping they were going to terminate up in the trim at the top, the utility strip. And here's the other thing I'm going to tell you. The house is uneven. So up by the door, it's like that. And as we come down, it's going to be like that and like that. So, hey. But that is how the previous siding was installed, and since we didn't remove all of it and we're coming off of it, we have to follow the same line it did. I tried to correct, but you can't really bend this stuff, you know. So that's what I'm doing today. And it's really difficult and frustrating because I can't think. I normally, like most of my job is troubleshooting and problem solving on site in the moment when things go sideways or I find weird stuff, or sometimes just doesn't work, you know, and you have to make it work. Sometimes you have to find creative solutions or simple ones. And I can't even think of simple ones right now because my brain is not working. Like my short-term memory is gone and my executive functions are at like a bare minimum. So what I need is just someone to come here and tell me what to do because I can't think. But I had to leave yesterday after an hour because I couldn't get my head around what to do. And I was hurting too much and too frustrated. And this really sucks. I'm done crying now. Back to work. So what I'm doing is giving my brain a break from trying to figure that out. I know these are just going to be full, long pieces that I've got to fill in. So I'm going to work on those, and then we'll revisit the top when we get to it. I'm just going to side up to that last run, and then we'll figure it out from there. Here we go. You can see me here. Now, it goes by quick, but you can see me lose my temper here in a few seconds. What happened is I bid and planned the job assuming that the new siding would tie into the old with little issue, but I think twice I had to take all the work we'd already done and tear it back off to redo things. This piece I'm working on here ends up leading to one of those little instances, and I snap a little bit. Forgot to hit record again, but real quick off camera, I call these Handyman Post-its. There's another pro tip for you. The pros don't want you to know. Use your trash as like a notepad when you need to. For example, I know that when I get done with this nightmare piece, I'm going to have one more nightmare piece to go over both windows. And it's going to be a full piece, so I really can't screw it up because then we've pretty much wasted half to a whole piece of siding. So while I was not recording, I got those measurements and wrote them down. So that's ready to go on the next piece. Got the battery replaced and the circular saw. So we're going to finish this plunge cut and hopefully get this last piece on the run there best we can. That should do it. Hate siding. You gotta cut it. I have yet to find a way other than using snips, which I can't use with my hands right now. I've got to use power tools because I can't squeeze things to be able to cut with them. But when you use power tools, it creates this. Here, I'll show you. You can kind of see it on my hoodie here, even though I've been brushing it off. This static charged fine vinyl fiber crap that gets on everything, sticks to everything. It's itchy, it clings to your skin. It sucks. But it's better than killing my hands. Speaking of that crap, I've got a little hand broom to get rid of some of it. I keep forgetting to use. Yeah, that vinyl sawdust and debris can really be awful, like as bad or worse than insulation if you've ever messed with that crap. This was a huge victory here, though, because it's where all the repairs came together, and the moment I found out whether they would line up or not, at least the first part of that. All right, I've already transferred my distances off my handy-dandy helper sheet here. I know I'm going to need to cut off 4 inches. I don't need it anymore, which is right on that lap, so that's easy. But that's the straightest line I ever freehanded. 1 window, 2 window. Cut here, cut there, a couple of tra-la-las. That's gonna be a son of a gun to do. Oh well. There you go. I take some of that back in the last voiceover. This is the piece that led to let me know if the repairs worked. I got confused on where we're at in the timeline there, so pardon. I think we've done it. Okay, that was the most anxiety-ridden piece that we've had so far, because this is the one that let me know when I started. I don't remember if I explained this already, but because of the way that we tied into the old siding with the new siding, it already went uphill that way. So I already can't go by true level. I had to go with bubble all the way to the right, slightly over the line level. But I apparently got it right, because bringing that siding up on that side of the window, then the siding between the window and everything we've done on this side has all started at a different level, slightly different. So if I had done them exactly the way they were, they would not have matched up. So what I had to do was bring this side, the far side had to come down a little bit, like fractions of inches. This side of that section had to come up a little bit, and then this whole section over here had to kind of turn clockwise a little bit. So left side up higher, right side down lower, but still within the margin of staying locked into the previous piece. So this is making any sense to anybody. I feel like I'm rambling now. Too long didn't listen version is holy crap, I made them match up, and that was really hard to do. And I'm proud of myself. If only I could walk without crying. That comment was in reference to my back. I mentioned earlier I had a very recently injured it at this point. Mind you, this was all back in March. I've got a bunch of bulging or herniated discs in my lower back and spurs and all that fun stuff that are compressing the nerves. And it's very painful, especially when I move wrong or try to lift things. There's a moment later in the video where I have to really force the siding up into position, and I definitely paid for that. All right, guys, so we're up to I don't know, day 6 or 7, I think now, on trying to wrap up the siding because I suck and my body hates me. But I know, I don't know if I'm even going to include it in the video since it was a lot of rambly nonsense and fumbling around. But I tried yesterday, the day before, to explain to you guys why I had to go get this utility strip, finishing strip, termination strip, whatever you want to call it. It's got like 8 different names. But it's how you close up siding at the top, because as I explained then, which I'll re-explain now, the way the siding works, as you're installing it, there is a receiving hook at the top and whatever at the bottom. So what these do, they lock into place and then should stay there because of the shape and the orientation of them. See how they're shaped kind of like mating J's there? Hopefully that's focusing for you. Problem you run into is when you get to the top, what if your wall ends here where the roof begins? You got to cut this off, and that's the problem we're having here, is that ours ends right here, and that's an unfortunate place because that means I'm going to have to cut a whole bunch of siding essentially to there and try to make it work, which is like next to impossible because of the way the termination strip works. See, it has the same receiving shape as your siding does, with one caveat, one change. See how this is a smooth, continuous loop, and this has that little hook in there? Now we're going to talk about that hook. and why the way that our siding is terminating is very unfortunate for me. The remedy here, ideally what you want is this. See how this is almost a full piece of siding and just this top part is cut off? That's what you want, is anywhere from here to here or from about here to here is fine. Now notice I said here to here, but where we're at is about here, just below it. So that sucks. But the way this works, you can do this manually. It's a pain in the ass. It's much easier with a special tool that will cost you less than 10 bucks. Go along and punch these little tabs in your siding at the top and see what those do, how they stick out a little bit. So then what happens, find my piece, is when you insert that siding up at the top, let me give you another visual here. My tabs end here. So if we had pushed that in on its own without the tabs, well, it kind of holds it, but they come right out. Now with the tabs, because it has that open receiving hook inside, instead of the smooth one like the siding has, once you get it in there, ain't going nowhere. Which is a pain in the butt when you're removing siding. But now you can see where our issue is. If I've only got about a finger's width of siding to work with, I need about 1.5 fingers to 2 fingers for this to work. So we're just gonna cross our fingers and hope that it works out, because what else am I gonna do? Tear it all off and start over? No, ain't happening. So here we go. Last time I was here, I was able to get all but the penultimate runs. That's your word for the day, penultimate. So we're gonna do full pieces as much as we can, all the way down to the end. And then we're gonna start figuring out how we're gonna get that final partial piece installed successfully. Had me a bit of a moment just now because I totally forgot I had to cut that nail strip off this piece to get it to fit up there. And now it's still not working, but this may actually work in our favor if I get creative. I've already got one utility strip up there that I was gonna put this under, but then to do that, we would be cutting the nail strip off this run and then cutting our nubbin off on the next run. But the problem we're running into is that with the location of the termination strip, now this is too long and I've got to cut this off, which would suck, except if I've got just enough room to play with, like about 1 inch, I can go up or down, that if I drop that utility strip a little bit lower than I want to put it and we caulk the top of it to seal it up, I might be able to get away with this being the last run. No longer the penultimate, but now the ultimate, the final, the pinnacle, the apex, the last of its kind. So I'm gonna do that. And rather than this taking twice as long as I wanted it to, we may be able to make it go twice as fast now. Happy accidents. So stay tuned, sports fans. Hell yeah. Okay. I might have just saved this. It's gonna work, I think. Woo! Let's not get too excited because we gotta remember the house does slope. So the siding's going away from the roof line, I think, if I remember right. Yeah. Plus we've got that little thing in between the porch and the carport to work around. But this just possibly saved us a ton of time. Oh. But we've also got to get a bunch of the styrofoam out of the way now. It's still a two-man job, so we'll see how this goes. God damn it! Oh. Oh. What did you do? I pushed. I can't push up because that compresses my spine. And I forgot. Because I've been doing a certain way for 10 years. Reach too far? Oh, you mean paint? I want to show you guys what just happened. So I heard AJ yell swear words, and she said that she went too far. And I said, "You got paint on the ceiling?" And she said, "Yep." Now I want you to see her cutting line. She thought that was the ceiling. You guys see this, right? So I'm gonna tidy her line up real quick so she can see, her blind ass can see what she's supposed to be painting. Oh, I love you, dear. You're a silly goose.
For being on my tiptoes.
Yeah, good.
Like.
If you didn't put it together, AJ was too short to reach the section. All right, I think you're set, kid. You're welcome. Hi, Grandma. Old ass.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you get somebody tall to do things for you when you're vertically challenged.
Nothing fancy going on here. I'm just installing the utility strips I gave the old TED talk on earlier, then ripping down the siding and punching those tabs into it. Then here at the end of this section is where I hurt my back again. I talk about it in the video, but cut the actual meltdown out this time because no one needs to see that. If you're wondering why the bipolar just intensified, I can't get the siding into the finish trim without pushing on it like crazy, which spikes a flare up in my back because when I push up, I'm compressing down on that nerve and it shoots coursing pain through my freaking body. And then the only way I can get it up there is to push it into the finish trim. Now I have to pull it down to get it over that lip. And then I've got to manage to scoot this whole thing up against the house where it goes, and it's just aggravating and painful. And that's why I was swearing and getting all bipolar about it. Back to your regularly scheduled ouch. This really was super tricky, as I explained in the video. I even had to enlist AJ for assistance here, but it still wouldn't budge. So I ended up saying screw it and just slid it on down to force it together in place in its final position, even though that meant I'd have to shove upward on it again and hurt my spine all over. But we had to get this done so I could refocus on the master bath at Cherry. It's way behind schedule. It eventually cooperated though, and I was able to shift down to the final few pieces. Then eventually my lovely wife came out to see me struggling and tries convincing me to stop for the day, and I foolishly argue with her for a few moments before I screwed around and compressed those nerves again and eventually came around to seeing things her way. I really should listen to her more often. Wow. That's crazy. All right, so this is going to be a little difficult, of course. I don't know if you guys can still see me, because this is the part of the house that we had to overcorrect on. So at that end, this final piece is going to be 8 inches, just like they were along the front of the house. But on this end, they've got to come all the way down to 6.5. Is that what I saw? Yeah, 6.5. So over 1.5 inches, well, right at 1.5 inches drop on this side of the house. And I don't have a straight edge that long. Wait, I think I already fixed this with the laser last time I was here. I'm going to measure my piece to verify, and we'll go from there. See, I got 7 here, so that's still not enough. I don't think I cut it enough. Or 8 down here. This should be 6.5. Nope, not good enough. Since the siding is really flexible, I don't have any 2x4s long enough to make a cutting table to sit it on. What I do have is my 4-foot level somewhere. So I'm gonna measure the top every 4 feet to see what the gap is that way, and then we'll just mark straight lines using the 4-foot level, if that makes any sense. I know what I mean, and that's all that's important. You know, one of the downsides to having to do crap over several days is sometimes you forget where you were. For example, I thought this was the last piece of siding, but really there's 2 more to go. So I just did that whole thing backwards. And if I were to cut it now and install it over there, it wouldn't work. But I think what I'm gonna do instead of that whole process all over again is I'm just gonna cut a short piece to go on the east side over there. That's the proper width. And we'll just cheat it in. I think I'd rather have a full piece on the outside anyway than having a short piece, because I feel like a short piece is more likely to get blown off in the wind, which would then lead to the other pieces getting blown off. Having a long piece creates more points of contact for that latching system that I use the little tab puncher for. So to me, having a full piece to finish is more secure than having a partial piece. So happy accident, I guess. I don't know. What that now means that I've got to get from, it's like about 5 feet. So right exactly at 5 feet. Wow. Good eye, Rick. Haha. 62 inches. Hopefully I've got a piece that big. I think I do. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. And as I was kind of saying there, normally I wouldn't break from the pattern, but here I think it was actually beneficial to change things up a little as far as how I installed those last few pieces. But once those are on, all that's left to do is get the house numbers back up, and the insurance company should be off the homeowner's back about it. So I have a trick. Whenever there's little parts and screws and things, I always tape and label stuff. That way the screws for the doorbell are in here with the doorbell. The screws for the numbers are here with the numbers, and you probably didn't see when I did the shutters, but the screws for the shutters were all taped with the shutters. That way things don't get lost. Now, I talked a lot about just a few of the things I struggle with today, and my hope in being so open and vulnerable like this is that maybe it can serve as a reminder that we're all going through internal battles every day. You never know when the smallest kindness can be the difference in someone's life, or when the smallest conflict could be their last straw. And that's why we do what we do here. And hey, whatever you're going through, you are still here. For that, I am very proud of you. And if no one else has told you today, me and baby Larry would love to be the first ones to tell you that you are doing a good job. And we love you. Bye. Mwah. On to the next one, guys.
Good job, Daddy.
Thank you, baby.